Welcome to Sera Sarah, a podcast hosted by me, Sarah and Lalonde. Join me as I go straight to the sources of my curiosity. Each episode, I get to discover or rediscover everyday educators as we discuss their passions and their projects. Listen in on our conversation and let our words spark imagination and inspiration. You're listening to episode 87 with Andrew Lalonde, aka my brother, finishing high school with a 50.2% graduating average. I'm sitting in my living room with my brother.
What's up?
His name is Andrew Lalonde, and there's a very, very particular reason tonight why him and I are going to chat about our different, I wanted to say upbringings, but I guess we had the same upbringing.
Same upbringing. Different point of view?
Different point of view on our high school or education
in general. Yeah.
I would say that you and I are similar in a lot of ways, not education-wise.
Like outside of education, I feel like, we have like the same values, same... Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We both have the same kind of sense of humor. We're both good-looking. We both wear glasses.
Yeah, sure. Let's go with that, yeah.
We both have the same mom and dad.
Yeah, that's a thing, Yeah.
But when it comes to education, no, I swear.
No, it's true.
We are like...
just different.
Different ends of the spectrum.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's like the best way to kind of have you introduce yourself. So obviously... people don't need to guess my perspective on education as I became a teacher and now have a, 87 episode education podcast. So I would say that other than being the prime minister of my high school and, going on to graduate magna cum laude from the Faculty of Education, I had a pretty positive education experience, and I look to bring that every day in my classroom.
Teaching the neighborhood kids and me in the neighbor's basement because they had a chalkboard.
I know.
Just being a teacher since you were like 7.
It was summer.
It was summer, and we're just spending our summers in the neighborhood basement.
You got free tutoring from me.
Yeah, dope.
We were doing dictées, math.
Oh God.
Sometimes art.
I always got bullied, but it was fine.
But I was a great teacher. I just shut that down.
Yeah, you were just like, hey, stop. And they listened to you. And that's why you became a teacher.
What? Yeah. Dans les débuts, in the beginnings. Yeah, for sure. So other than your school experience from us in, the neighbor's basement, I think a good way to kind of introduce yourself. So, what you doing now? How old are you? Because nobody knows who you are. This year I'm like introducing my podcast family to my actual family. So just like who you are, and then kind of give us a background, some background information on how you when you think back about your high school experience. Just to start us off.
So, as previously mentioned, I'm Andrew. I don't know. There's not much to say. Right now I'm working at a local restaurant with my fiance. It's a good time. Not what I planned to do out of high school. Definitely a change of pace. 'Cause after high school, I went to college for business management, finished that up, and...
tried a few things.
Tried a few different jobs, physical work, book work, just a lot of different things. Retail,
kind of customer service, you name it.
Every little thing. Working in factories, working with the people. It's everything. A little bit of everything.
First difference is that I always knew what I wanted to do.
Yeah, I still don't know what I want to do.
Yeah.
I went in because I really liked sales and selling stuff to people and communicating with the public. Mm-hmm. And that was just a thing that I really enjoyed. And in
high school, that's kind of what you did. Yeah. Well, tell us. You have to.
Yeah, I got it. I used to buy I used to buy big cases of Mountain Dew, and I used to sell them for like $1 each for profit. And I made like half decent money doing it.
Yeah.
Just
out
like
of your locker at school.
Yeah, out of the locker. I used to bring like cooler bags and like keeping them cold, and I had like the regulars. I knew what they wanted every day, so I knew to bring like a Mountain Dew Voltage for the guy named Eric, because he always took one every single day. So you get to know the clientele, and you try and like treat them. You throw in like an extra can every once in a while for free to make them happy. Just like little things to.
Did they ever shut you down?
No, the teacher, some teachers actually bought some from me too. Yeah.
So I heard you're selling Mountain Dew.
Yeah, it was like, because I used to walk into class and I'd like be handing them out, taking money, and they're just like, yo, you're selling Mountain Dew? And I was like, yeah, is that a problem? Like, am I going to get in trouble for it? They're like, no, but if you want to bring one in, I'll pay for it. I was like, sure, yeah, just more sales. So some teachers came, and it was fun. It was just a little thing I did.
So that's kind of like why you decided to go into business.
Yeah, it was like that's what I thought business was talking to people and like keeping people happy. But then I realized going through business school that it's much more cutthroat, and it's a scary place sometimes. Like, people go crazy for money. Like, money makes people crazy. And I'm just
not something you like seen yourself.
No, I'm definitely not cut out for that line of work, because it's just too much. I care about the people too much, and I don't want to.
We also have that in common.
Yeah,
Lalondes have big hearts.
Absolutely.
Aw. Okay, so you talked a little bit about your high school experience. People, let's just say, so already right now, teachers are seeing you as Andrew, the kid that's selling Mountain Dew out of his locker.
Innovative, we'll call it. Yeah, they seen me in class, and they seen I wasn't really that interested in a lot of the subjects. I went to a French school. I know French well. If somebody's speaking French to me, I'll understand every word of it. I find with my fiance and her family being French, talking to them was a really good way to actually learn more French, because I didn't really talk French at the school, even though I went to a French school.
So already let alone you were interested in the subject, you were learning it in a language that you did not want to speak in.
Yeah, it was hard. I didn't want to do it, and I didn't see the point in doing it, because everybody where we're from speaks English.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Even if they don't speak English, they understand it perfectly. So I can get by on just English, but obviously being out of school for five years now, I think. Yeah, I realize like how important French is, especially working where I work now in the like customer service industry. Like, I try and serve as many people in French as I can. As soon as I hear like a slight accent, I switch to French. I'm just like, are you more comfortable in French? Is this like, would you like a French menu or something? Like, if
nice.
Yeah.
Huh.
So it's just like making the people comfortable.
Yeah. So you're in a French school. You have a certain dislike for things that you're learning, right? So you go through grade 9, grade 10, grade 11, you get to grade 12. What was that, okay, wait, pause. Well, we're going to go back to even maybe before high school.
Okay.
Just wondering, like, when do you think you started disliking school necessarily? Was it in high school or before that?
It was definitely before that. I had a teacher in grade 6. She was a good teacher. She taught me a lot, obviously, but like we just didn't get along. And she was a very old-fashioned teacher. She was a very, I don't really know the word, strict.
Old-fashioned, yeah.
Old-fashioned, strict, very.
I think we understand.
Yeah, by the book. and she did this thing. I remember the exact scenario.
I don't know this story, so I'm like,
No. It was like she used to give some kids crap for getting up in class and like going to sharpen a pencil while she's talking, and I understand it's disrespectful. And
like while she's teaching?
Yeah, while she was teaching, and
okay.
I was like, I get that. It's just kind of not great. And then one day I dropped my highlighter on the ground, and I was like, I'm not allowed to get up. I'm gonna get yelled at. So we used to have the desks with the big arm on the side there.
Yeah,
so I used that to kind of roll over and pick it up and use it as support. And she just stared at me, and she had this mean stare, and she just kept staring at me, and I didn't even know she was staring at me. Didn't even realize she stopped talking.
You're trying to be subtle.
I was just like, yeah, I'm just picking up my highlighter, you know. I pick it up, I sit back in my desk, and she's just staring at me, and I'm just like, I don't know what I did. Like, I didn't get up. I'm sorry. And then she just kept staring at me, and I was like, I just stared back because I didn't know what was happening.
You're in grade 6.
I'm in grade 6. Like, I followed the one rule of not getting up in class. I dropped it. I wasn't going to leave it there. So I just stared back, and she just...
Well, it traumatized you.
Yeah. I was like, she gave me crap after class, like, you're being disrespectful, and like, you're disrupting the class. Kids here want to learn, and I'm just like, I just wanted to pick up my highlighter. I'm sorry, like.
Okay.
And I obviously wasn't an ideal student.
Yeah. To
begin with, so I get why I was not necessarily targeted, but
fair.
She wasn't going easy on me.
Yeah. Well, you know, I can. As a teacher now, I have more like empathy for her, because some days the student could just look at you funny and you're like flipping a desk, you know? But that being said, why do you think, or why is it that particular memory? Like, what is it about that moment, do you think, that, I don't want to say set off,
set off is the right word.
Okay.
I realized that teachers are people too.
Okay. Okay.
Like as a 6th grader, you're just like, they're just teachers. They don't go out to the grocery store and get groceries like everybody else, but they're just people.
Yeah. Okay.
It was kind of like, they're just people. They don't really have that much of an authority over me, or they and that's kind of what tipped the scale, being like, I can get away with some stuff. Like, if I don't want to do something, I don't have to.
Okay.
And that's kind of where my mentality switched. And I kind of went into if I don't want to do something, or if I think I have a good enough base knowledge of something, I'm not going to do it. So like math, I was always really interested in math. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'm going to learn as much math. I took extra math classes in high school. I loved it. But like French, again, I felt like I had a good enough base knowledge to understand what people were talking about. Mm-hmm. I had a good enough base knowledge to speak.
So you didn't really care about how to write a text opinion?
So I really didn't care.
That's fair.
And it
didn't matter, because again, I'm coming from like a teacher's perspective now, and I'm just wondering, it wouldn't have mattered how the lesson would have been presented to you. Say it would have been like in a game format, but it would have been like a type of, you know, a subject that you weren't interested in or didn't see value in learning. Would it have changed if, let's say, you would have had a less traditional teacher? If we presented it in a way that could be maybe more fun?
I think I would have been more interested, but I don't think I would have held on to I would have held on to more knowledge, but still not the amount that the teachers were hoping for. Well,
I think...
Like, whenever you present a lesson, obviously you have you're like, oh, the kids are going to learn from this lesson. They're going to learn these things. Mm-hmm. I might have learned like half of what you expected through the game rather than learn nothing.
Exactly. At least I'm 50% there as a teacher, you know?
Yes, but you're also putting in so much more work to learn 50%, you know? Like, I get it, but it's just, you know what I mean?
So there would have been well, we're talking about you in the past, which is a little different,
Yeah.
but like there would have been was there a way for teachers to get to you, as in connect with you, go into Andrew's brain and kind of
I get what you
like
mean.
manipulate the content to get you to care? If it wasn't like math, I think was the only one you said that you actually
Like math,
cared
I
about.
liked English because it was
Okay.
like I got to learn more words and
But say like your
structured sentences.
geography class or history where you're like, this is useless. Was there any way that like they, like a teacher or some lesson that you remember that you were like, okay, I started off thinking that this was going to be absolutely useless and I did not care, but you know, the way that this teacher did it, I was actually able to take away and I kind of switched.
Actually, there was a teacher.
Okay, tell me.
There was a teacher in 10th grade. Again, he was very strict and very old-fashioned, but he brought this idea, and I loved it. It was...
What class was this?
It was history, 10th
Okay.
grade. And he said, okay, I want everybody to come in tomorrow with black pants and a white shirt. And I'm going to teach the class like they taught in 1945, like right in the middle of the World War. He's like, this is how kids were taught back then. And this is what they would have learned. And I thought that was the most interesting thing because he went around with like one of those, you know, those flimsy rulers.
Yeah.
He went around and he just started smacking desks. You know, like he's like scary teacher.
Yeah.
Full. If you came in and you didn't have the shirt and the black pants, you got a whack on the desk. You know, like he obviously didn't like hit the kids or anything, but like he just like scare the crap out of you with a whack on the desk. And
so this is like an applied history
yeah.
class.
It was like no, it was a theoretic.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's like, I want you guys to understand like not only how good you guys have it now, but how bad and how different people thought back then. And I thought that was just a really creative way to have it presented that way. Yeah.
More like immersive kind of thing.
Like there was another one in that class. He said, you can pick anybody from this year to this year.
Yeah.
You are that person, and you explain why you're famous now. So like some person did Franz Ferdinand, and like it was just really, really cool.
Who were you?
I don't remember.
So you did not learn anything.
I did not learn anything, I guess.
Cool experience.
Yeah.
But
it was a cool experience because it was like a panel. He had like the 5 people up there. And he just like he had a list of people who like he thought would be interesting to do, and like he just chose from that list. But he also accepted people from like any point, you know? Like as long as he accepted it,
right,
and he thought that there was like some sort of educational value to it, then
Okay. So that was grade 10.
Yeah.
I want to know from grade 9 to grade 12, I don't want to say that you had a hate for school, but
I definitely didn't like it.
okay. Your strong dislike for the education system, did it like get worse? Was there any like point in time that you had hope, or were you just grudging to get to your grad basically?
Like,
what was going through your mind?
So 9, 10, 11 was like, this sucks, but I have to do it. Because like, I need a high school diploma.
I hope so.
Yes,
Goodness.
obvious. It was like, I need this. This is something I need to get into greater things.
Okay.
And then 12th grade hit, and I was just like, I don't want to do anything ever again. I don't want to go. I'm old enough. I think, you know what? This place sucks. I was just done. I don't even know why. Yeah. I was sick of it. I said, I've been doing this since I was 3 years old. I'm done.
And you're in your last year.
And my last year. And in my last year, in the first 26 days, I missed 13 days. I just stayed home. I did whatever I wanted. And I I hated it. I hated school so much.
Why?
Because I didn't want somebody telling me what I had to do and what I had to learn, because I had that first semester was all classes that I hated. I had French, I had English. English in 12th grade was bad because it's
demanding.
It's demanding. It was a lot.
Okay. French, so 2 language
classes. Yeah. French and English, that was like, whoa.
Okay, keep going.
And then I had spare, which love that, obviously. And then I had another class. I think it was stats, and I liked stats, but it was a lot.
Mm-hmm. And your stats and your spare couldn't make up for how bad French and English were, so you just did not show up, not even for half the day.
No, I was just like, no. I live out of town. I don't have a car. I'd have to wait for the bus, and it feels weird. It feels wrong to go to school and then leave.
So you had a bit of a conscience.
Yeah, it felt better to just not show up to school.
So I was in, wait, because I was in university in Sudbury, had having no idea what was happening really. But what were mom and dad saying?
Well, they obviously weren't pleased.
Yeah.
And they tried everything. I was just a pissy teenager.
That's fair.
I just hated it.
So what, after the 26 days, how did you start? Was it threats?
It was threats.
What got to you?
It was like, listen, if you don't start going to school, you're just flat out gonna fail and have to redo this. And I was like...
Like an ultimatum, essentially.
Yeah. It was like, that was it. And I was like, well, basically, what's the minimum amount of classes I have to go to?
No
and
way.
They wouldn't tell me. They wouldn't tell me. They were just like, yo, you have to go to all of them, basically from now on. And I was like, in my head, I was like, we both know that's not going to happen, but I'll definitely go to more now because I have to. Or else.
Did you sit down with the principal?
It was a guidance counselor.
Okay.
Yeah. And then after that, it was the principal because the guidance counselor didn't work.
You know what, though, I find interesting is that you just didn't want to go to school, not because it was hard, not because you were getting mistreated or you were getting bullied or you were depressed or anything. You just didn't care.
I just did not care. I was just like, nope, I don't want to do this. I like the people. Listen, and you are a social butterfly. I loved 90% of my teachers I've ever had ever.
Yeah.
And
you're a likable guy.
I talked to them from 6th grade. As soon as I realized that they were people, I talked to them exactly like they are people. Mm-hmm. And I think they kind of appreciated that because it wasn't like I'm only teaching this kid.
Yeah.
It was, I actually kind of enjoy having a conversation with this kid. Mm-hmm. You know? Because, I just talked to them. I wouldn't talk to them about school because I didn't care about school. Yeah. I wanted to know, what does your husband do for a living? Mm-hmm. Oh, he's a lumberjack? Oh, that's cool. Oh, he owns his own business? That's so cool, you know? Mm-hmm. Getting real life experience through talking to other people is what I did way better than going to school.
Yeah. But you went to school because you had to. And if you would have been, let's role reverse right now.
Okay.
So you are a teacher and let's say you are teaching your grade 12 self in English class. I'll give you English class because it's easier. Mm-hmm. And let's say, I'll even give you this advantage. Let's just say you're the grade 12 teacher teaching yourself in grade 12, but you had yourself in grade 10 as well. You have some rapport, right? You're the teacher.
Yeah, I'm the teacher.
And you're teaching Andrew.
I'm teaching me from grade 10?
Yeah. Or
grade 12?
Yeah, you got taught in grade 10 by this teacher and in grade 12. So you already kind of have a good relationship.
Okay, yeah. We talked, we're people. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm asking you, if you were teacher, Mr. Lalonde, teaching grade 12 Andrew English, what do you think? Because I think that some of the listeners for the podcast right now might have students like you in their classroom, right? It's the beginning of the year.
Oh.
We have a whole plethora of
God.
different types of students in our classrooms. So I'm just wondering, like, a tip or strategy or a way of thinking that you think you could have given as a teacher to your grade 12 self to like shake you out of it, or to, you know, what do you think could have worked?
Talk to them like they're people.
Okay.
Talk to them like nothing was going wrong at home. There was no issues. There was no.
No, you want to stay home. Clearly.
Yeah, no, like no, it's true though. Like there was nothing wrong at home. There was nothing wrong at school. It was good. You know.
So the teacher, you show up one day. It's like
I show up like half the time.
So you show up and you're like, "Hey, Andrew, can we just chat after class? Like, I'm just worried about your attendance. You know, your attendance. You're showing up. I just want to chat." Like, what would you tell yourself back in grade 12 to?
In grade 12, I'd say, listen, you probably think this sucks. You're almost done. Yeah. Listen, you got, what, a semester and 3/4 to do, and then you never have to go back to this place again.
Fair enough.
Hope
to the future, right?
Yeah,
that this is
but
like
as soon as you hit
stone.
college, you're going to wish that you were back in high school. Because because college kicks your ass. Because I thought in high school, like, whoa, this is like, it's easy. It's a good base knowledge. But as soon as you get to college, they don't care.
But isn't that what you wanted? Like, you didn't want your teachers to care really in high school.
I didn't want them to leave me alone. Yeah, and it was.
I don't care. You shouldn't care either.
But it was. You have to get into the mindset of going to class in high school, because it's so much easier to get into that mindset there. Because if you have to get into the mindset of going to class in college, you're just not going to go, because no one's going to make you.
Nobody's holding your hand. There's no late slips.
There's no nothing. If you don't show up, I don't care as a professor. That's just one less person that I have to worry about screwing around in my class. You know?
And plus, you're paying to be there, too.
Exactly.
The prof still gets his, you know.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know what? A lot of kids skip in college, and that's like a normal thing. But it's just, you have to go to class. You have to have a base, a good base.
I'm going back to September, grade 12, Andrew.
Yeah.
Do you think that there was like a possibility that you were going to be a high school dropout?
No.
You genuinely thought that you could...
I knew I was going to finish.
You didn't know how?
I didn't know if it was going to take me an extra year.
Okay.
I knew I was going to finish. Eventually.
Maybe an online class here or there.
It wouldn't have hurt.
Did you graduate, for all those wondering right now?
I definitely did.
With a...
So my overall average was a 50.2 at my graduation ceremony.
Yes.
I walked out and everyone was surprised to see me, and it was awesome. It was the best.
As a teacher, I think the most frustrating thing to hear you kind of like chat about it right now is just that you're like so much better than that 50.2, right? Like, well, intellectually, if you would have just, I don't know, found this kind of spark inside you, I know that your capabilities are better than a 50.2. So it's hard for me as a teacher to like see that.
But here was my thought process. It was, I knew the colleges, because I decided to go to college instead of going to university, because it would get me roughly the same education. Going into commerce or going into business management, it would have been the same. But I knew it was super easy to get into the colleges because it was just, they wanted your money, you know? That's what it is.
They don't want to give you an education. They just want your money.
Well, like to an extent, right? You know, like they accepted a guy with a 50.2 overall average. Who's not going to get in, you know? I got accepted to all 5 colleges that I applied for.
Fair enough. You're hearing it live here on Kiss at Us.
Yeah. It's just, they all said, as long as you graduate and have an English credit. And And I was like, that's dope. I can do that super easy.
What's the least amount of work required to do that? That's what
Honestly,
you're wondering. That's
yeah.
the equation. You're gauging, right?
Yeah,
that was your grade 12.
That's what I did. That's what I did. I was like, if I can show up half the time, and that'll give me half the grades. And it worked.
I know.
At the end.
Do you think you should have passed?
I think I should have passed. Yes. It was definitely tight. I got the grade that I deserved. I did. I think I honestly got 50.2 because the work that I put out was worth 50.2.
That's fair. At least you're able to like reflect and self-evaluate yourself. Like,
yeah.
As I'm sure as you're doing all the projects, you're wondering, okay, like I'm about at 30%, and if I could do this for like 30 more minutes, I could probably get to a 50.
Yeah, I did that.
Yes.
I was like,
and you know the
the
teacher, and you know how they.
Yeah, and I had the rubric too.
Of course. Well, that's.
You give the student the rubric. I'm like, okay, this is worth 100%. If I get, a 4 in this, an R3 in that.
That's why you're so
a 2
smart.
In that.
That's why it's sickening.
Yes, but
having you play the system.
But
you should become a teacher. Plot twist.
Plot twist.
Andrew's
going back
to university to become a teacher.
What? Can you imagine what?
I don't know. I feel like we need more people like you, as in with a story. Look, guys, because there are 100,000s of you in education systems, like in the world, whether you're in Canada, United States, overseas, right? So, and I, myself, having been someone who was able to strive in school, it's hard for me to connect with kids like you were in high school who just don't care, right? Because I was the brown noser people pleaser, right? The teacher's pet.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to be. I don't have like a rich story to connect with those students who are just like, Madame, I don't really, And you would say it so politely, like, Madame, like I just don't really care, I'm just here to get my credit.
I don't know how many times I said that.
Yeah.
I talked to them like they were people.
Yeah, but like, as in, I would love. I know you're not going to become a teacher, Andrew. I'm not trying to save your life here, but I'm just saying.
6 years of more school? Dope, love that. Let's go.
But I'm just saying, like, it would be really powerful to have someone, a figure like you, who has a story that comes from like, this hate and da-da-da-da-da, and just like.
If it was easier to become a teacher, I think I would
consider it.
I think I would consider it a lot more. Mm-hmm. It's just, I seen what you went through, and I heard, again, just from talking to teachers, all their stories from like, oh my God, I needed a 90 in this one test to pass my whole year, like that's just horror stories for me. Mm-hmm. I'm not pulling 90s, like I don't know how to study because I didn't have the base.
Yeah. So
how would I do that, It's just so scary.
The other thing, because I was thinking about the podcast before we press record, and when you were in high school, right, you were getting by with the 50s and all this, and all your friends are like brainiacs.
Yeah,
and they're
so
like
smart.
They are literally competing to get like the highest grades.
Yeah.
And then there's just you.
Yeah.
What was that all about?
So all my friends went into like engineering, or like they're going through to get like their doctorate.
Yep.
And they're all really, really smart kids. And there's just me rocking a 50.2. I don't know. It's just, I really liked the conversations I could have with those people because the way they talk is just, well, first of all, a lot of them are really antisocial. And since I'm so extrally social, I'm not sure if I don't think that's a real word, but.
You're just an extrovert,
Yeah, I'm just so.
You're a social butterfly.
Yeah, since I'm a social butterfly, I knew everybody's name in our school, and I still know it to this day. You name a name, and I'll know exactly who you're talking about and what they're up to, just because I like that.
You're like a people person.
I like people,
mm-hmm.
and not a lot of people talk to those guys because they were just very introvert, very to themselves, very close-knit group, mm-hmm. and I was like, I really like the conversations they have. I like their point of views, and I like hearing really smart people,
like intellectual conversations.
Yeah, intellectual conversations. Yeah. I like talking to people who are really smart, so that I feel really smart. But also, they can get a point of view of someone who may not know the subject as well as them, but they definitely, I think they appreciated it. We're still friends. I talk to all of them all the time, you know?
Regularly.
Yeah, like...
Teachers must have been like, what is happening? And what weird reverse, like, universe, you know?
Yeah, because we talked, like, a lot of the times we talked about, like, really scientific stuff. Like, we talked a lot about, like, the black hole theory and, like, what happens when you go in. And it's just, like it's just dumb things, you know? And I wanted to know more, and they knew more. So I talked to them a bunch. And we bonded, and it was awesome because I learned so much. A lot of useless information that I can't really use.
But it was, like, okay
good.
to learn that useless information, but to learn useless information to pass your course, to get your diploma, to get out of high school, interests you a little less.
Yeah, because it wasn't taught to me in a 7 people sitting down at a lunch table in the break room, just shooting.
So I think it is.
Shit, you know, it's just...
Well, just like from what I'm hearing you say, I think a bit of the issue was the approach that the teacher took in teaching the content.
But there's always gonna be, like, I don't know how to say this. There's always gonna be one person standing in front of the room teaching everybody else. That's what school is.
No, not anymore, really.
Not anymore?
No, because a lot of the times, for example, so I taught grade 10 history last year.
Yeah.
You know that I am not a history teacher.
God, no.
So do you think that I sat down every night, read the textbook, watched the YouTube videos on every single historical fact that I needed to know for the curriculum for them? No. I wouldn't have never, ever, ever survived because I was also teaching geography, zero base in geography, and I was teaching a grade 10 English class. So did I have an quote-unquote expertise in my content area? Absolutely not. Thankfully, it wasn't expected of me. And thankfully, education has kind of shifted. Not kind of. Education, for the most part, has shifted to where your teacher, your master of the classroom, right, doesn't need to be the all-knowing kind of figure in the classroom. And the best, and this is so like comforting as a new teacher because the pressure is off. Does it mean that I don't need to know anything anymore? No, obviously not.
Yeah.
But it meant that I could now put the quote unquote responsibility of learning, you know, the catastrophe in Halifax in history and all these little... You're smiling, but
yeah, because I don't know what happened in Halifax.
Exactly.
You know, like...
So, and I didn't either, and I couldn't spend my whole night learning this and this and this in chapter 17 and 18 and 19 of the textbook that we needed to get through that day. So we would divide and conquer. We're split into 3 groups. And they could pick their groups, or sometimes it was random, or sometimes they came in class and they got cards and all the hearts. You're doing chapter 17, diamonds here, and spades, you're doing chapter 19. And they would read and they would come up, quote unquote, with a way to present it, and they would teach. And that they had to take ownership of that lesson, right? And time crunch, like, guys, we have 75 minutes. We're doing 25 minutes research, 25 minutes you prep, however you're going to teach it, and then come up with like a little quiz mini evaluation at the end so that when you're teaching the students who are receiving your lecture, whatever activity, that they're assessing themselves, like that they're taking notes of, the content that they're teaching.
How can you trust that they actually do their work and it's not just one kid doing the work? You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. Well, my role as a teacher in the classroom is like facilitating. I'm guiding their understanding. Obviously, I've done a brief overview. I have a very a basic understanding. Do I know all the details and the dates and the this and the that and the why? No, but if they get to a point, roadblock, right? They're working in groups, so they don't need to they're not doing it alone. If they can't read or whatever, like they don't understand a word, they're collaborating. And if they really need me, I'm there. I can be in, 3 places at once, more or less. And there is Google, right? Mm-hmm. For anything, out of the textbook or whatever it was. Sometimes we were just working with, okay, you guys are watching this video, this video, this video, and explain it to the class. And that worked so much better because they rather listen to each other than listen to me.
Absolutely.
Blah, 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 blah.
All day. I couldn't agree more with that.
And I couldn't agree more either.
It makes sense. It's smart. It's the right way to do it, I think.
Who did you have as, your history teacher and my history teacher were not the same, but my history teacher was, know-all. Like, she did not have a textbook because she knew everything. And so I had this perception of what a history teacher was, as in you story told. And I said, I cannot do that. I can't. I don't know enough. And if I would have thought that was how I had to do it, I would have never survived. So when students take ownership of their learning and are able to teach it, when you can teach something to someone else, not just read it off of a PowerPoint, but actually understand it, that's when you've reached your highest learning, right? Yeah. Like you actually understand
your
it
knowledge
and
of it is
you can reformulate it to teach it
as much as you can.
And so it's not just me using big fancy words in front of all my students who are passively, in one ear out the other. Yeah. And so, Do you think it would have stuck with you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
I think it would have stuck a lot better because
you couldn't just screw around.
A lot of times, especially in French class, I just slept. I just laid down. I laid my head down on the desk.
What were teachers doing?
Teaching everyone else who wanted to learn.
Okay.
And it worked until my 11th grade French teacher said, I don't care what you do, just be awake. So I started reading an English book that I was interested in his class, and I actually learned a lot more that way because I was aware and I had to listen. So even if I wasn't paying full attention to what he was doing on the board, I still gained some knowledge of that. Wake the kids up.
Okay. And that's coming from Andrew Lalonde.
Yeah, coming from the kid who loves to sleep in class, wake the kids up and let them do whatever. Because as soon as he found out that the book I was reading was English, he took it away.
I was just gonna say you cannot.
And you know what I did? I went right back to sleep.
So then what happened?
I didn't do very well in that class.
But you passed.
But I passed.
Andrew. Were there any? Okay, so we understand that the classroom setting was not your forte. Were there any extracurricular events, teams, social clubs, sports teams that gave you hope? Because sometimes, right, you're not living for your grades and school, but were you living for any other events in school?
I joined every single thing that I could, but I did it all for the wrong reasons. I did it to get out of school. Okay. So the times that I did go to school, I joined chess. I like chess. I don't love chess.
Okay.
I played chess for 2 whole days out of class. I went to the Franco-Ontarien meeting in Plantagenet as a supporter for one of our people who was going to try and be elected as
oh yes.
Yeah, I got to go to that because I was so friendly with everyone. They wanted someone who was a good representative. As a person who doesn't speak French in schools, they got me to go. I wanted to experience as much as I could just outside of school. And honestly, I loved going to that thing. Mm-hmm. It was awesome. I learned a lot more about the school system itself and how it's run.
Right.
And it was really cool. I joined the hockey team. Mm-hmm. I tried out for soccer, football, badminton, baseball.
You even played basketball when you were midget,
I played basketball and midget. I played 8 games of midget basketball. I did not get 1 basket. We almost made it to Yasa, like the secondaries. And I did not get a single basket. My defense was on point, but like...
How were teachers letting you out of class? Were you were giving them free Mountain Dew?
Yeah, that's it. I was bribing them with some Mountain Dew Voltage, the good stuff, you know? No, I just told them, I was like, I really want to go to this. And
they're like, oh my God, Andrew's engaged, wants to do like, something.
They're like, he's here? What? Sure. Like,
fair enough.
They seen that I was interested in something, and it was a school activity, and it made me show up for a good portion of the day, and that was that. It was a good time. It was a good time.
What I find, because now in school too, something that we try to develop on top of teaching you content, right, is called like the global competency. So it's how to be a better communicator, how to develop your critical thinking, how to collaborate with others, how to develop your creativity.
That's a new thing?
But it's more...
Because I think that's genius. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, so our role like as teachers is not only to like teach you French, but it's also to like create lessons and activities that are going to help you like develop these skills, right?
Yeah.
They're also called employability skills,
God,
right?
Yeah. Yes.
Innovation and creativity, and there's another whole bunch of them. But nonetheless, I feel like you were looking for those, right?
I wish that was a thing. God, do I wish that was a thing. I would have been so much better in school.
And not that we're not like evaluating necessarily like, okay, we're working on how you collaborate today or communicate, and I'm giving you a mark. It was like more, it's like your TSH. Do you remember that on your report card? NSTE?
Yes, I do.
How were those?
Yes. I got a lot of N's because I didn't show up. So a lot of them were N's, but some of them were E's. Communication was always E because I always...
But not in French class. There's no
never
way.
in French class.
Okay, moving on.
But like, sometimes they'd slip me an S, you know?
Yeah.
Like, sometimes they were like, you know what? He spoke French today. Like...
Yeah, they noted that down on the post-it.
Like, yeah, it's
ready
just
for
like,
report card seasons.
Yeah.
All the days that they heard you speak French at one time.
Sounds just a portion.
Were there any... I want to just, before we end the podcast quickly, the French thing, okay?
French thing. I love French now, by the way. I speak a lot of it.
I'm so proud.
Yeah,
oh my God, you're gonna make me cry. Stop.
I don't search for my words as much.
Yeah, okay.
So.
Can I ask you this? Because this is something that I lived when I was in high school, and if I lived it, I can only imagine that you lived it. But a certain like insecurity with how you spoke, and an insecurity of not being able to like find your words. Was that one of the reasons why you just decided like, well, I don't want to feel this way, so I'm not even trying?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I was like, I suck at French. My pronunciation of words sucks. I'm always searching for my words. I can't hold a conversation. And as a social person, all I want to do is hold a conversation. So it's like, I want to talk to you. Yeah. So I'm going to talk to you in the easiest language possible for me. Mm-hmm. And you can speak to me in French. That's what I did with all my teachers.
Of course, yeah.
I was like, you can speak French to me. I'll speak English to you.
Did any teachers refuse to speak with you because you were answering them in English?
Every time that I spoke to my French teacher in English, he would always be like, oh, what was that? I didn't understand. And then I refused to speak French because it was more of a principle thing than anything at that point, you know? Some guy doesn't want to talk to you because of your language. I was like, well, I'm allowing you to speak your language. Allow me to speak mine. Mm-hmm.
Were there... Okay, so like before you decided that you were like not going to speak French, were there times where teachers kind of caused that insecurity? Like they would correct you or they would judge you kind of on the way you spoke, and it just kind of piled up and piled up and piled up and piled up.
Yeah.
Where you got to a point where it's like, well, I'm sick of being kind of treated or
Absolutely.
responded to this way.
Yeah.
And shut down mode.
Yeah, it was just like, I'm done. A lot of the times it was just like, no, I don't want to talk.
So if you were speaking French and say I'm the French teacher and I want to help you, I don't want to correct you because I don't want to make you feel like you can't speak necessarily. Was there any approach or was there any way that you appreciated when a teacher, I don't know, like, not encourage you to speak French, but like was able to correct you in a positive way? I don't know really how to say that.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. A lot of the times it was like they said, listen, I get what you're doing. I get it. Like they said, like,
yeah.
I understand that, like, you don't feel comfortable speaking French and that you don't, like, you have a hard time with it. So just try. Mm-hmm. Just try. And it was like
a safe space for you to talk and not...
But it was only after everyone had left. Like, it was like, yo, Andrew, can I talk to you after class? I was like, yeah, sure. And then she'd be like, you know, hey, you can talk French. Just try talking French to me. And I was like, sure. Yeah. And then I stuttered, and then I said, le lads, you know, like...
Oh, I get that.
My masculins and féminins, oh my God. Still to this day, I have issues.
Yeah, but you're not the only one.
No, like, I know, but it's just, like, I realize that now, but as a 12th grader, 10, 9, 8, you know, 6th grader, I was like, this is so much. Mm-hmm. I just want to be able to speak this language without... Like,
questioning, is it le
table,
la table,
exactly.
Right?
Like, like, certain things, like, ring right in your ear. It's like, le table. I don't think that sounds right. La table. I don't know. I still don't know which one it is. You know? Like, that was a bad example, but, like, I'm just saying, like...
Yeah.
A lot of the times, it's just like, I don't know what it is. I think it's le table. It's le table, right? No, it's la table all day.
It'll continuously,
all day. Yeah.
Probably forever be la table.
Hopefully, I'll know now.
Sometimes to help me, I'll say it la table, une table, our table.
In and our saves me.
My biggest strategy was just saying les tables. I would just make it plural. I couldn't mess it up.
Everything.
There was just a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. That way I couldn't mess it up.
Yeah.
So to end the podcast, for the teachers listening who might have an Andrew. Oof. Bless their hearts.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
They'll be good people one day.
Eventually. Okay, there. You've kind of already hinted at where I'm going. And I'm going back on a question that we already kind of spoke about, but how can you motivate those teachers who are maybe feeling, even at the beginning of the year, just like they're pushing against a wall, right? I'll reformulate what you just said. Mm-hmm. Maybe give them time, right? We had talked about having an honest human to human, not a teacher-student conversation with them.
Because then it's intimidating.
Okay.
It's intimidating talking to teachers as a student because you know that they can get you in trouble at any time. You know what I mean? That's one point of view. Mm-hmm. But another point of view is it's just so hard to, like, see them as people. And I don't know from a teacher's point of view if you see your students as people or if you see them as...
I teach human beings. I don't teach students.
That's the thing. And I think that's, like, something that was missing when I was in high school because I feel like I was just, like, more of a burden to teachers than I was a person.
My goodness.
You know?
Did you feel like they cared about you, though? Like, they wanted to see you succeed?
Certain ones definitely wanted to see me succeed.
And you wanted to give them more in return, right? Yeah. You didn't want to disappoint?
No.
Not even.
I was like, I really want to do well in this class, even if I'm garbage at it. I'm going to get up. I'm going to do my French oral presentation.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be horrible. But you know what? These people treat me well. I want to actually put an effort in for them.
Yeah.
And that was a big thing in my 11th grade French class.
These people as in, like, your teacher and the classroom community.
Just the teacher.
Oh, okay.
The other students, I liked everybody in high school.
Okay, fair enough. But you were doing it
I was doing
a
it
lot of the time in those moments where you're like,
Yes.
ça me tente vraiment pas, mais...
Yeah, it was like, I don't want to do this, but I want to do well for the teacher. And that was another big motivation. I'm not sure if other quote-unquote Andrews out there have the same motivations, but group work was amazing how well I worked. Because I was social, and I knew that the grade as a whole depended, like...
On your contribution? Or?
On my contributions. Right. It wasn't graded, it was graded like one big mark for the group. And as long as everybody put in, and I like to go with my friends, and my friends were very smart, right? And I wanted to do the quality of work that they did so that we could get a good grade together. I did every single group project in high school, in college, everywhere, because I knew other people depended on me, and that was a huge factor.
It was like your responsibility as a team player. So your collaboration skills, Andrew, I would definitely give you an E on that. Hearing, right? But were you telling? I'm sure your teachers were seeing you work with your group and being like, "Holy moly, we've never seen Andrew."
Yeah, but obviously you can't do group work all the time. You have to see like tests. I was very bad in. I got a 9% on a test in my French class because we had to read a book. I don't even know what it's about.
Clearly.
I used to look up resumes on Wikipedia before going into class, and then going into class and doing the test.
Fair enough.
And it worked most of the time, except for Les Filles
de Caleb.
De Caleb. Oh my God. Something about a strawberry field. Some kids blow up. I don't know. I don't know what it's about. It's just big, long, and scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. It's just, honestly, like that was the worst test I've ever done.
Give Andrews maybe the opportunity to strive in a group. Put them in different like settings.
See, yeah, and if they're still bad in groups, they're not Andrews. I don't know what to say.
I know.
Yeah.
No, it's just interesting. We have tons of students that come in with different baggage, different interests, different reasons why they want to or not want to be at school. So I thought it was very cool, my bro, to have you on the podcast today. Thanks for, just being very candid about what you lived in high school. I think it brings a black and white perspective of what I lived, what you lived. So thanks so much. And I want to remind my listeners that in this big, beautiful world of education, we give what we can, we do what we can, and for the rest, que sera, sera. Que Sera Sarah is a proud member of the Voice Ed Radio Network. Original music, editing, and production of this podcast is done by the talented Mathieu Leroux. Find my podcast on all podcast platforms, including SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and now newly on YouTube. Talk to you soon.